Hello, you're watching BiTV European Service. I am Ines Berger, and today we welcome Valeria Falcone, who is European Portfolio Manager and Head of Real Estate for Italy at Barings. Hello, Valeria. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Ines, and thank you for inviting me.
So, Valeria, following this COVID-19 pandemic, the year has been quite difficult for everyone and also for the real estate industry, obviously. So, in this context, which niche properties have surprised you this year to the upside or downside?
Right. Well, let's say that on the upside, the surprise came mainly not specifically from sector, but from an acceleration of what we saw in certain sectors. So I would, if I have to name two asset classes, one would be probably the grocery, which have been behaving, compared to before the pandemic, in a much better way. So that has been a little bit of a surprise in terms of their resilience they have proved to have. Although again, not completely a surprise, but for sure the acceleration was quite astonishing there. And of course the logistics sector, which again was a sector that was growing given the e-commerce, which for sure has been experiencing a very, very strong acceleration into the market. In terms of the part of the market that was more surprisingly hit was again, if we have to look back at before the pandemic, we can definitely say that nobody could really expect an impact like this on offices, particularly on the co-working sectors, which was very trendy, let's say, before the pandemic, and of course on the hotels, which is probably be one of the highest hit category of the real estate. The surprise came because, of course, before the pandemic, we're not expecting anything like that. But this has always proved that operational asset classes are subject to higher risk sometimes than we actually perceived. So these two asset classes have been both very highly impacted, so co-working and I would say hotels. Both of them, we believe that they will recover. It will take time, but they will recover. So it's not a permanent hit they're taking. While for offices, which again was a bit of a surprise in terms of how quickly it has hit the demand of the office market, let's say that the outcome of the pandemic will stay for longer and will have a permanent impact. Although, the office demand will recover, but the impact of pandemic will stay there.
And following this impact on the pandemic, do you think there is any pandemic-proof properties that exist on the markets?
Well, interestingly enough, I say that the office market has been badly hit, but the data of the third quarter 2020 shown that actually in terms of capital transactions, transaction in real estate, although they are down everywhere, if you look specifically at the office sector, for example, the office sector has been proven to be quite resilient, as well as the logistics sector. But I wouldn't say that that is due to a specific sector. The result of this, it is that probably high quality assets that can provide higher sustainability, not just in terms of environmental sustainability, but most importantly on social sustainability, they are the winner. Because one thing that every crisis, and also this one is not different in this respect, has proven to us is that the definition of core is becoming more stringent. So there is not an asset class, I believe, that is winning specifically. Of course, as I say, logistic is going to be the long-term beneficiary, the immediate and long-term beneficiary of this pandemic. But in terms of how would you like to protect your capital, where you should invest your money, is not just a single sector, but it is the type of property that you're acquiring. And if you are investing in markets in which the structural trends are positive, if you are investing in markets that are still liquid, and if you are investing in the product, in the right product that the demand is looking for, then that's the best way to preserve your money, really.
Thank you. And finally, I have one last question, focusing a bit more on the French market. Do you see any of those pandemic-proof properties in France at the moment?
Well, I think that Paris, in particular, it's a place in which you can definitely say that you are pandemic proof in a way that, although the transaction is, and although the demand for office, for example, is down there, for sure the liquidity of the market, the strength of the market, the fact that the market has got a lot of domestic players and is not just relying on international players, makes of Paris in particular a very, very strong market. So again, more than a certain type of properties, I still believe that Paris can proven and is proving to be very, very resilient. We have recently sold an asset in Paris with absolutely interesting exit cap rate, absolutely in line with before the pandemic. So again, for the right asset in a market as liquid as Paris, you always find protection to your capital. More generally, if in France, for sure the logistics sector is still a lot of things to say. I believe in France, the cap rate we are achieving in France are still relatively higher compared to the cap rate we're achieving in Germany, or we are achieving in the Netherlands, for example. And honestly, there's not really a reason for this. Okay, so we believe that France can really bring very good result in this respect. Unfortunately, on the other side, if you are a value-add investor like myself, trying to buy properties is difficult because the competition is very high. Every market in which there's a strong domestic market, competition is very high, and so pricing is sometimes difficult for us. And there's investors that have got a lower cost of capital that can always bid on asset for us. But for sure, France is and stays one interesting places to invest your money, especially in time of crisis. Paris can really be a place in which you can preserve the value.
Valeria Falcone, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Ines, and thanks again for inviting me, and thanks everybody.
See you soon on BiTV.